At 7 in the morning, I opened my email to find a finance alert, approval confirmed, $12,000 vendor charge. The problem? I never approved it. And yet, the system showed my login. Before I continue, quick note, if you like workplace mystery stories, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. I'm a project coordinator at a mid-sized marketing firm in Chicago. We run campaigns, track budgets, and watch every dollar because clients scrutinize every cent. My direct manager, Dana, prides herself on control. She notices everything. My teammate Marcus is newer, ambitious, and a little too quick to volunteer for extra tasks. I checked the timestamp on the approval, 2:03 a.m. I was asleep. Even stranger, the location tagged wasn't my home Wi-Fi, but a hotel 3 miles downtown. Someone had gone through the trouble of faking my approval. When I asked Dana, she waved me off. Probably a system glitch. We'll sort it later. Marcus smirked in the corner like he already knew the ending to the joke. But if it was a glitch, why was the money already gone? And why did the vendor name look suspiciously familiar? That's when I decided to start digging, even if it meant making enemies at work. I looked up the vendor name, Stonebridge Creative LLC. No website. No LinkedIn profile. Just a half-baked invoice in our system. The only contact listed was a Gmail address. Red flag. I pulled last month's invoices for comparison. Every real vendor had a proper business email, usually something like info@company.com. This one just said stonebridgecreative@gmail.com. I brought it up in our morning huddle. Hey, who worked with Stonebridge? Silence. Dana cut me off fast. It's a subcontractor, don't overthink it. But Marcus kept tapping his pen against the table, a nervous habit I'd seen when he was lying about small things before. After the meeting, I messaged IT. Can you check who logged into my account at 2 a.m.? They promised to run the audit logs but warned it could take a day. Meanwhile, I scrolled back through my email. Buried in the sent folder was the approval email, stamped with my signature. But the phrasing was off. I never wrote "kindly process this at your earliest convenience." I don't even say kindly. Someone had copied my style but missed the details. The more I looked, the more it felt like an inside job. And that's when IT pinged me back, "We found something you'll want to see." IT's report came in. My login was used at 2:03 a.m. from that downtown hotel. But here's the kicker, the badge system also showed me entering the office at 1:58 a.m. The problem? My badge was on my nightstand at home. I froze. Someone cloned my badge. That's not something an outside hacker could easily do. It had to be someone inside the company. I went straight to Dana's office. She didn't even look up. "You're making this bigger than it is. Let it go." But when I pressed, she snapped, "Focus on your deliverables, not the ghost stories." Walking back to my desk, I caught Marcus watching me. He tilted his head, then muttered, "Sometimes it's better not to dig too deep." Almost like a warning. My gut told me he was involved, but accusing him without proof would backfire. Instead, I decided to quietly gather evidence. That night, I set up a silent alert on my account. If anyone logged in outside my hours, I'd get a text. Sure enough, at 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unrecognized login detected. And the location this time? The same downtown hotel. The next morning, I drove past the hotel. Nothing about it screamed corporate. Just a mid-tier chain with a parking garage. I wondered, why there? I walked into the lobby, pretending to check room rates. The receptionist mentioned they often hosted corporate guests from our firm. She even remembered Marcus staying there a few times a week. My stomach sank. Why would Marcus, who lived just 10 miles away, spend nights at a hotel so close? Back at the office, I casually asked him, "Hey, you been traveling a lot lately?" He stiffened. "Why?" I shrugged. "Just noticed you seem tired." He muttered something about renovations at his apartment. Later, ID confirmed, the hotel's IP address matched the suspicious logins. So now I had a pattern. Someone was logging in late at night from a place Marcus frequented, cloning my badge, and funneling money to a fake vendor. But the part that really rattled me? The Gmail address tied to Stonebridge Creative used Marcus's middle name as part of the username. It was starting to look less like coincidence and more like a trap. I checked our expense reports and nearly dropped my coffee. Marcus had filed reimbursements for client dinners at the very same hotel restaurant. Same dates as the late-night logins. That was the smoking gun I needed. But if I took it to Dana, she'd bury it. If I went to HR, Marcus could spin it as a misunderstanding. I needed undeniable proof. So I hatched a plan. I submitted a test vendor invoice under a fake name, flagged for approval. If Marcus was the one hijacking my account, it would mysteriously get pushed through overnight. That night, I stayed up, watching my phone. At 12:15 a.m., the alert buzzed. Someone approved it. And when I checked the metadata, same hotel. Same laptop fingerprint. Marcus was caught. Now it was just a matter of timing my move. But then something unexpected happened. The invoice bounced back, marked already in system. Which made no sense. Unless someone else was running a parallel scheme. Who do you think is the real mastermind here? I confronted Marcus in the break room. Funny how all these charges line up with your hotel stays. He froze, then laughed it off. You think I'd risk my career for fake invoices? But his eyes gave him away. He was nervous, yes, but not guilty. More like he knew something I didn't. That night, I went deeper. I checked who else had access to vendor accounts. Buried in the system logs was another name, Dana. My manager. Turns out, every suspicious invoice had her approval as a secondary sign-off. She had overridden the system to make it look cleaner. Marcus wasn't the mastermind. He was a pawn, or maybe even a scapegoat. The pieces clicked. Dana dismissing me. Her rushing me out of her office. Marcus's warning not to dig too deep. I realized I wasn't just exposing a rogue co-worker. I was up against my own boss. And bosses play dirtier than employees. I printed the invoices, audit logs, and expense reports, thinking I had a solid case. But when I slid the folder across to HR, the director frowned. We've already reviewed this. Everything checks out. My heart sank. Dana had gotten to them first. She must have framed the narrative, maybe even suggesting I was the one covering my tracks. That night, an anonymous envelope showed up at my apartment door. Inside was a flash drive labeled "Stop Digging." On it, screenshots of my supposed approvals, doctored to make it look like I was running Stonebridge myself. It wasn't just sabotage anymore. It was blackmail. I realized the real twist. Dana had set me up as the fall guy from the very start. Marcus was just her tool to get the dirty work done. If I didn't outplay her, I'd be out of a job, or worse, branded a thief. But the next morning, something strange landed in my inbox. The email came from a burner account. I know what Dana is doing. Meet me outside the cafe across the street at noon. Against my better judgment, I went. A woman in her 40s introduced herself as Carla, a former accountant at the firm. She'd been fired last year for errors, but she claimed Dana had pushed her out after she questioned suspicious invoices. Carla slid me a folder. Inside were copies of old bank transfers, thousands of dollars routed to shell companies. Different names, same pattern. Stonebridge was just the newest mask. Dana's been at this for years, Carla whispered. Marcus is just the front man. But if you connect the dots, you'll see the real trail. Finally, I had someone on my side. But if Dana learned Carla was helping me, she'd crush her too. That night, I decided to build a trap big enough to take Dana down with her own tactics. Would you have trusted Carla in my place? I needed undeniable proof, something Dana couldn't spin. So I worked with Carla to create a sting operation. Step 1, we drafted a fake vendor profile, Harborline Media, complete with a basic website and business email. Step 2, I pushed a small invoice into the system, $100, barely noticeable. Step 3, I left breadcrumbs leading to a bigger payout if approved. Sure enough, 2 nights later, my phone buzzed. Someone logged in from the downtown hotel. The invoice was approved. Then, 48 hours later, Dana signed the secondary approval herself. The trap was set. Now I just needed the final piece, proof that Dana and Marcus were splitting the money. Carla suggested we pull bank records tied to the vendor accounts. Risky, but doable. Through a contact she still had in finance, we got screenshots showing deposits moving from Stonebridge Creative straight into an account under Dana's maiden name. This was no longer a suspicion. It was a paper trail. But if I moved too early, Dana could bury me. I had to wait for the right moment to confront her. I booked a private meeting with Dana, pretending it was about a client budget. When she walked in, I closed the door and slid the documents across the table. Care to explain why these transfers end up in your name? Her face didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned back and smiled. Do you have any idea what you stepped into? Marcus was just the decoy. You've been set up from day one. I stayed calm. The board is getting this packet in the morning. Unless you can convince me why I shouldn't send it. Her smile faltered. You think they'll believe you over me? I've been here 15 years. You? Too. I had expected that. Which is why I revealed the final card, an audio recording from Marcus, secretly captured the night before, admitting Dana had orchestrated everything and forced him to comply. Dana's face went pale. For the first time, she had no script. But just when I thought I had her cornered, she said something that made me hesitate. Dana leaned forward, voice sharp. If I go down, I'm not going alone. Those fake invoices you filed? Harborline Media? The board will see your fingerprints all over them. My chest tightened. She was right. Even though it was a sting, technically, I had created a fake vendor. From the outside, it would look like I was part of the scheme. That's when I realized the depth of her game. She always kept a safety net, someone else to blame. First Marcus, now me. But before I could respond, Marcus barged into the room. Dana, stop. He's not the enemy. His voice shook. I can't do this anymore. He pulled out his phone and dropped it on the table. On the screen was a live video call, with Carla, HR, and the finance director watching. Dana's jaw clenched. The trap had closed, but in a way I hadn't planned. And now, the fallout would be explosive. Dana lunged for Marcus's phone, but the HR director's voice cut through the speaker. Dana, step away from the table. Security is on the way. For a moment, the office felt frozen. Then Dana's shoulders slumped. She knew it was over. Marcus finally exhaled. I kept every text she sent me. Every instruction. She said she'd ruin me if I didn't play along. HR instructed me to hand over all my documents. Carla's old records, my audit logs, the Harborline sting, all of it became evidence in the case. Dana was escorted out of the building by security that same afternoon. The silence in the office was surreal. But I wasn't in the clear yet. HR called me in privately. We appreciate your efforts, but creating a fake vendor is a serious violation. There will be consequences. My stomach dropped. Had I saved the company only to destroy myself? The board reviewed the entire case. On one hand, Dana had stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars. On the other, I had technically broken policy. The decision? Dana was terminated effective immediately, with the case referred to law enforcement. Marcus was suspended but kept as a cooperating witness. And me? I was formally reprimanded, put on probation for 6 months. No promotion. No raise. Just a warning in my file. It stung. I had risked my career to expose fraud, and this was my reward. But the alternative was worse, losing everything to Dana's scheme. As I walked out of the boardroom, Marcus caught up with me. I'm sorry. For everything. He looked defeated, almost hollow. She used me, but I let her. I'll live with that. I nodded but didn't respond. Trust, once broken, doesn't come back easily. And yet, something about the way HR handled me felt unfinished. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the company's external auditors. They had reviewed all records, including my Harborline sting. Your actions technically violated policy, the auditor said, but they also provided the only irrefutable evidence. Without you, this would have been buried. Then came the twist, the board reversed HR's reprimand. My file was cleared. Instead, I was quietly promoted to senior coordinator, with a significant pay bump. It turned out the board valued results over red tape. And while HR didn't like being undermined, they couldn't argue with the auditor's conclusion. Marcus? He resigned a month later, unable to face the whispers in the office. Dana's trial made local headlines: embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy. She faced years behind bars. Carla got an official apology and was offered a settlement for wrongful termination. She declined, but the vindication was enough. For me, it was the end of the storm. Or so I thought. Because one final surprise still waited in my inbox. The email was short, unsigned: nice job surviving, Dana. But remember, Stonebridge wasn't her idea. She just carried it forward. My blood ran cold. Someone higher up had started this. Dana had been greedy, yes, but she wasn't the original architect. Which meant the story wasn't over, just paused. I closed the email and leaned back. In workplaces, corruption rarely lives in just one person. It seeps through cracks until someone risks shining a light. The moral? Speaking up has a price, but silence costs more. I walked away with scars, but also the knowledge that I hadn't let fear dictate my choices. So who was wrong? Dana, obviously, for stealing. Marcus, for enabling her. HR, for protecting hierarchy over truth. But maybe the system itself too, for punishing those who try to do the right thing. If you were in my place, would you have taken the risk to set the trap? Thanks for listening. If you enjoy stories of workplace drama and hidden truths, make sure to subscribe for more.